Hi, my name is Max Shaw. I'm a political science student at the University of Oregon. Today I will be explaining a waterfront planning and design project for 3PM Green Cities. I found a unique project here in Oregon in the city of St. Helens. St. Helens is a small town of 14,000 people that lies 30 minutes north of Portland. St. Helens is situated on the Multnomah Channel of the Columbia River right after its confluence with the Willamette River. The city was founded in 1804 in response to the state's thriving lumber industries and was largely built around paper and lumber mills. The St. Helens Waterfront Redevelopment Project began in 2014 when the city got involved with the American Institute of Architects Sustainable Design Assessment Team, otherwise called SDAT. This all came after a decade of population decline that was caused by closing lumber and paper mills in the early 2000s, which resulted in over a third of the St. Helens residents moving away. This left the majority of the accessible waterfront in downtown St. Helens as privately abandoned industry and left the city scrambling to create and promote economic growth. In 2015, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency gave the city an area-wide planning grant with the assurance that the city would follow the framework set out by the public meetings. The city of St. Helens would then acquire a 255-acre brownfield waterfront property that is located just south of the central downtown. The entire project area can be broken down into three key parts. The first section is the riverfront redevelopment property. This 25-acre property is the northernmost section and is also the most important piece of the waterfront design project as it sits directly adjacent to the existing downtown area. This area has exceptional access to downtown, access to the waterfront, and boasts an amazing view corridor of Mount Hood and the Columbia River Gorge. This area is planned for redevelopment of mixed use of commercial and residential buildings and will be the key section for tackling sustainable economic development goals. Just south of that is the central waterfront property. This is a 50-acre property that sits between the first and third proposed project areas. Currently, this is the site of the city's main 39-acre wastewater treatment facility, the St. Helens Sewage Treatment Plant. Plans for this area are yet to be decided, but the main goal is to relocate the sewage treatment plant away from the city so that this can be converted into a park. This area will provide public waterfront access, public amenities, and more opportunity for sustainable economic private development. Just farther south of that is the largest of the three properties at around 200 acres and is the former site of the Boise White paper mill. Currently, around 20 acres of the property are being used by Cascade Tissue, which will stay. This will be the future location of the St. Helens Industrial Business Park. The area is close in proximity to the city and downtown, and the central waterfront property will act as a natural barrier between the industrial park and the redeveloped downtown. The business park will act as the primary source for sustainable private economic development in St. Helens, trying to attract outside businesses and investments. There are three main project goals with this waterfront redesign plan. The first is to create a higher level of public access to the Columbia River waterfront for all citizens, making it accessible even for those with disabilities. They also would like to preserve the natural and cultural heritage of St. Helens. And lastly, they would like to promote and create sustainable economic development. I'd like to recommend 10 actions that the city of St. Helens could implement to make this project better. The first is to construct a mixed-use bike and pedestrian path to connect the new areas together along the waterfront. The second is to build a set of small piers to provide access from the raised quay wall down to the actual water level of the river. Third is to generate a plan to redevelop the waste treatment facility into a public pond while safely removing all contaminants. The fourth is to use non-toxic construction materials in all future building projects so that riparian sites do not get contaminated. The fifth is to fund a public education heritage science center that would be a place where students and citizens could be educated about the environmental impacts of not only the project but the city as a whole. Number six is to implement a plan to introduce green and public spaces into the St. Helens Industrial Business Park. It's important that industry has green spaces just as much as the downtown. 7 is to preserve the view corridors and natural aesthetics of the Columbia River Gorge and of Mount Hood. Being able to view the water is just as important as having physical accessibility to it. Number 8 is to create protected swimming zones and reduce wake speeds. The Columbia River Gorge is a massive shipping route out through the Pacific Ocean, and the citizens doing leisure activities along the waterfront need to be protected. 9 is to design policies to protect the riparian areas, largely from illegal dumping. It's a huge problem in Oregon, and small towns like St. Helens have problems with illegal dumping and contaminants in riparian areas. Lastly, the 10th recommendation is to build water transportation access for the planned St. Helens Industrial Business Park. The project's main goal is to attract new industries, and having direct access to the Columbia River and the Pacific Ocean would be a massive incentive for outside businesses.